So as long as you have a chip and a chair, and just like, you got to enter that rodeo, you just never know what's going to happen. And when I moved down to Decatur, I didn't have an arena for the first 7-8 months. And there was probably 4 nights out of the week, there was somewhere I'd go bulldog and run as many as I want to. And now I'm the only arena around there that really bulldogs. It's tough, Out there, I wanted to create Rodeo Vegas to where you're going to treat that cowboy like a rock star, and so they get a jacket. And like we used to have 25 to 30 guys on the Rodeo Vegas team. They got a free room besides the one that the NFR gave them. And then we'd also, pick up 2,500 of their food and beverage.
Welcome back to the Wealthy Cowboy Show. I'm excited about today. I have Casey Jones on. You probably know him, or there's multiple ones, but this is the Bulldogger, Pro Fantasy Rodeo, Rodeo Vegas. I've been wanting to have him on since we started now to kind of promote the fantasy rodeo and talk about that and how it all came along. I appreciate you coming on.
Well, thanks for the invite. I'm excited. I love your show. Been watching you, and you do a great job.
Yeah, and we got to ride around in your souped up Cybertruck a while ago. That was pretty crazy. Yeah,
I'm a nerd. Like right when Elon announced it was 5 years ago that this new truck's going to come out, and it's not the truck that cowboys drive, right? But I'm half cowboy, half nerd, like really nerdy. And so being an Elon fan, even way back then when it wasn't cool to be an Elon fan, reserved 4 of them. And so like I tell people today, I bought 4 Cybertrucks when they first come out. Well, it cost $100 to run your credit card for reservation. So, didn't have much risk.
Yeah.
And then, like just delays, and finally got the first one, was it last year or year before? And then it was a 2 motor, and then I wanted the Beast because that's a 3 motor, and it goes 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, and it's just nuts. And I figured I was going to get it maybe this year. Will that come up? Got an email saying, "Hey, your Cyber Beast is ready to order." And so I'm like, what am I going to do with that 2? Like, I don't need 2 of them, And so we ended up giving away for an option. And I really wanted, I thought it was really exciting because one of the things I really am passionate about is getting new fans into our sport, and, like if they have a chance to win a Cybertruck, like how can you win a Cybertruck? We'll figure out rodeo. All you got to do is pick 8 people on a team, one in each event. And that's your team. And if you do good, you can win it.
Yeah.
So last year at the finals, we had a Ram 3500 and a stock trailer, and then, or you could get the Cybertruck. And we did some marketing and some paid marketing, non-endemic, straight towards, more of a TikTok crowd, we even, kind of went after the tech crowd in some of our demographics, to where if you want a Cybertruck, you need to figure out rodeo, know? And so it was really cool.
I feel like you don't even have to figure it out because I've been doing it for a long time, and you think you're like, oh, this is it. I've got the team. These are all the best guys. The salary, everybody came in the right spot. It's all stacked up just right for me. And then somebody that just, oh yeah, that guy, he looks pretty, blah, blah. And I'm going to pick him, and they end up doing better. Real quick, if you're a listener of this show and you're serious about leveling up your income, your mindset, and your life in 2026, you need to join the Wealthy Cowboy VIP community. It's where the real action happens. You'll get exclusive discounts from our sponsors, VIP merch deals, early access to episodes, private Q&As, and I even pull questions from the group to ask our guests on the show. It's a crew of driven Western people pushing each other to grow. The link is in the description. Go join now and see what's happening inside.
You never know what's going to happen in that little yellow arena. I have a buddy that was winning it. I mean, he started winning it last 5 perfs, and he was in the lead. And the last perf, Wade Sundale misses his horse out. Like, who would have bet that? That was the worst bet in Vegas if somebody bet on that, So you never know what's going to happen in that little yellow arena. But like one year, Patrick Gotch, I had a deal with him. We did a free game for the American. And we had a ton of entries. It was free. And we gave away a Polaris Ranger and come up with some really cool prizes and really promoted, watching the American on the Cowboy channel. And it was good promotion. But I called the winner and I said, "Hey, how'd you hear about, have you been playing Pro Fantasy Rodeo for a while?" No, my riding teacher, and she was from Las Vegas. My riding teacher, we come in the barn, and I don't even know what rodeo is really. I just have a horse here, and I come get riding lessons. And she said, "You need to get on here and get a rodeo team." She didn't know one thing about it. She won a $13,000 Polaris Ranger. So as long as you have a chip in a chair, and just like you got to enter that rodeo. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we do have some like players that I'm like, Billy won again. Like they study it, they love it, and they'll chip away at them and get paid every year, But this going back to Cybertruck. So then we had a rancher, his name's Shane Reese from South Dakota, and he's played it a long time. And he wins it, and he's like, "Oh, I want that truck and trailer," because I asked him, I said, "You want that Cybertruck?" Do his answer, and he's like, "No, my daughter, is fixing to get to go into junior rodeos, and we just have ranch rigs, so this is perfect." And so he took the truck and trailer, and so we held the Cybertruck over for the American. Well, one of the guys that started playing the NFR game was playing because he wanted the Cybertruck. Well, he wins at $10,000 out of the NFR game. So he saves some of that money, comes American. He puts in, we have 2 games. The first game, to the contender finals, and then we move on to the American where there's, the Cybertruck. So he wins another, I don't know, $7,500 in that game. So he just starts buying teams like crazy for the American, and he ended up winning the Cybertruck. Yep.
That's funny. Let's go back. We're going to work our way back up to that, but let's go back and tell us where you came from, your background, all that stuff.
Yeah, I grew up in a little town, southeastern Colorado, Los Animas, Colorado. The big city of LA. That's what I always told them if they didn't know me. But yeah, we just had a small 60-acre farm. We had a state lease up there and run cows up above the canal, and we raised mostly alfalfa hay. Dad was a stickler for putting up the very best hay. Even when down there in the valley, everybody started, loafing it and putting in big bales. He's like, "Oh no, we're going to stay up till 4 o'clock until it's just right." So there's a lot of times growing up that I was packing bales, and like that's how I made my money. I was hauling all those bales at sale barn. We had an old bobtail truck, and I'd load them and back them up in there and unload them and get paid and go listen to KOA 8 or what was it 560, something like that. That's the only thing I had in an old bobtail truck. But then my dad rodeoed, and I always want to be like Dad, but he quit rodeoing so he could kind of raise a family, and he was a wood shop teacher, and my mom was a business teacher, so I didn't get away with nothing in high school. So I was trying to be the teacher's pet, or trying to be like a 4.0 student, being a farm kid that, we'd get sideways all the time. And started, they did everything, tried to do everything they could for us. We didn't have a whole lot of money, and we actually welded up our horse trailer to go high school rodeoing, and actually in college, my high school graduation was a pile of metal. That was my high school graduation present. Dad said, "Here's your 4-horse slant." And so our shop wasn't even big enough. That's long enough to build the trailer. We had to get a blue tarp in the middle of the winter out there in Colorado to get the trailer. And it was cool. I mean, we thought it was cool, but we built it like a tank. Like Dad would overbuild it. Dad could build anything, but he'd overbuild everything. You could roll that trailer 3 times, put it back on its wheels, and then just keep going.
Is it still around?
Yeah, somewhere up there in Colorado. My buddy, he bought it, and I don't know where. It's somewhere up there. It was, remember those TNR trailers, the slope nose out of Colorado? That's what Dad kind of, designed it around. Mm-hmm. And but it had drop downs and had a living quarters. Of course, we never had enough money to put we just had sleeping bags in there. It wasn't that fancy, but that's bull lockers. We didn't care. But one of the funny things for amateur rodeoing is they didn't have much money to buy tires. Well, all those farmers and ranchers around there, they'd give you the set off their old irrigating wagon, farm rig. And so I had 7 tires mounted up on the side of it. And we'd be going as fast as we could get that trailer to go.
Look like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, yeah. We'd blow a tire. And we were proud of how fast we could chain a tire. About every amateur rodeo, we'd go through two of those farm tires, and that thing was built so tough that it wasn't going to tear up a fender, It just shreds the tire. You just put on a new one, you're off to the races.
My buddy the other day, Catch Weaver, was on, and we didn't get this on the podcast, but he was saying he was broke one time. at this point. And so he was day working cows all week. He's pulling a stock trailer. And then he had a living quarters. He comes up here to the north side and picks up and trick ropes and stuff. So he said he didn't have enough money for 2 sets of tires. So he just had 1 set of tires. He'd run around on them on the stock trailer all week, jack it up, put it on blocks, take them off, put them on the living quarters, and come to Fort Worth on the weekends.
I love that. That's perfect. That's rodeoing right there.
Yeah.
But was able to junior rodeo, and then I won enough with Wrangler scholarships and then high school rodeo scholarships that I got a full ride. Went to Sterling, Colorado for my first 2 years, and then went to University of Wyoming on a full ride scholarship. Sterling was, rodeo team, 2-year college, you're just right off the farm. You're like, this college is fun. Well, I was in architectural engineering because I wanted to be an architecture, engineer. And that college is pretty cool. It's pretty easy, and I'm not smart. I just try real hard, So I get up to University of Wyoming and move in with Jock Campbell, one of my best friends today. He's a great guy. I have a big ranch up there in Shoshone Farm, hardworking guy. And then Paul Mathern. Well, these guys were the studs of UW on the bulldogging team. Like, they were the guys. And this poor little farm kid gets to move in with them and be part of the guys. So, OK Corrals north of Laramie, Pete Burns owned it. It's one of the first original indoor arenas. There's the old timers still talk about, And by that time we got up there, it's got a little rundown, and they actually took a saw and got the side and hole in the side of it to let the bulls in one winter. But it was great because I could keep like 8 head up there because I worked all the events, But if I kind of run the stalls and kept fixing it up, fixing fence, just keep patching it together, he wouldn't charge me any, rent. And so I'd stay out there, and Jock and Paul and all the cool guys on the University of Wyoming team, that I looked up to, we'd be out there all day long. We'd be bulldogging and half roping and team roping, helping buck bulls, and we'd be picking up, And then about a little over a month, I'm like, I better go check. And well, after we'd leave OK Corral, we'd head into Laramie, and there's an old Cowboy saloon. There was 2 Cowboy bars in Laramie, and it's packed full of bars. There's nothing else to do in Laramie except drink, It's an old railroad town. But there was a Cowboy bar and there's a Cowboy saloon. Well, the Cowboy bar was over there. It was a smaller bar, but it had $1 Keystones and $1 fried mushrooms every day. Well, we lived on that for a month. We'd leave there and go in there dirty. And about a month into it, I said, how about I better check out this college deal? Because I had to keep a 2.0 to keep my rodeo scholarship. And there wasn't anything that could, that was the only reason I was there. So I go in there, and I'm not doing good because it's one of the top engineering colleges, and
you've barely been to class.
Oh, and I go to class, and they're talking about statics and dynamics and how the angle, like, it was way over this kid's head. And I got a tutor, and I bared down, and I cried. I thought I was going to, mom and dad's going to kill me if I get kicked out of college. And there's some really good guys that helped me get through it, tutoring, and got to 2.0. After that semester, I walked in that office and I said, I need to go to business marketing right now. And so after college, kind of moved back to the farm there and was shoeing horses. And I didn't ever think I could, win pro rodeo. That was just not even in my, that was so out of my grasp. I didn't think I could be that good. But I love steer. I worked all the events, and, in college I did really good in, team roping, won the region a couple of years in the calf roping. And, but then I didn't think I could beat Joe Beaver, Brent Lewis, and, or, Steve Duhon, Rod Lyman. There's no way this farm kid, that's 180 pounds, And so went back and, on the farm and was shoeing horses, and I went and went through Dale Jeffrey School doing equine dentistry. And so it was great, I could, we did amateur rodeo around there, but then I could really bear down and got to become pretty successful in the dentistry field, and had some really, really, high-end clients, and they'd have them lined up, and I could do 2 runs, and were spring and fall, so I could go make a bunch of money and then just go rodeo it all the way. Then go back and make a bunch of money and then just rodeo it all the way. Well, eventually, I started kind of figuring out like, hey, I could maybe win a little bit here and there. And my thing about steer wrestling, though, I just loved it. Like I was sadistic about practice, like, and being a little guy, and like I grew up wrestling, and that's all we did on the weekends. All the, you know, like Southeast Colorado, every little town had a wrestling club, and that's all we did was just get into it every weekend. And Dad hauled us all over, you know, went to nationals, went to regionals and nationals. But so I kind of liked, you know, the grittiness of, you know, wrestling, and it's cheap. You could get on somebody else's good horse, you know, because like I didn't have $50,000 to buy a calf horse, you know, and so. If there was a big steer, that'd be the steer that I'm going to run, you know, and I'd run him until, you know, like either I get him down or I was going to die. But I just loved it. And so, like, I don't know, I just was able to start winning a little bit. I remember 1 year before I made the finals, the Duvals are the heroes in steer wrestling. Everyone's hero. Roy Duval and Bill Duval, you know, they rodeoed forever. Roy made the finals 24 times, and Bill's made and sold more bulldogging horses you can ever imagine. And that's the bulldogging capital of the world, Chakota. Well, they used to have Roy and Bill put on a bull. They still do. Spud and Riley and Sam's taking it over, and they have an indoor. But at Roy's place, they had a steer wrestling 3 days. It starts on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it used to, back in the day, it used to last like there was no breaks. I remember the opens on Sunday, and we didn't get done bulldog until after the sun come up Monday morning. And the fun we used to have there, because they used to match. It used to be a big deal back in the day to match. And now people don't really match because it's too personal.
Yeah.
Oh, Crockett beat me, you know. But like that's how they competed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then after the competitions, there would be a full night of matches. And then not only that, the over and under, you know, you've probably played it 100 times on rodeo. It was big there. And then back when they first started, there was huge oil money up there in those parts. And so I remember one year they
get all the guys from town, not just rodeo guys, but all the guys from town out there gambling.
Everybody playing. Like, and the kids are they're bleachers. They move bleachers inside the arena, and there's kids with $1 bills, you know, and they just kick your butt. But I remember they held up the rodeo one time. These two old boys that had some money, they held the bulldogging up because they had $1,000. What bird was going to fly off the line first, the one on the left or the one on the right? But after that, they'd have foot races and wrestling matches out there, and so that was, you know, I loved it. And I went down there. First trip down there was in college. Well, they have a 10-man match, and it's called the Battle Royale. They have a tournament style now, but back in the day, Roy and Mr. Aduddle had a lot of the steers that would go to the PRSA rodeos, and they'd save the bigger, stronger steers. Like they'd get a new load. It took a ton of steers for that jackpot. Well, they'd get all the bad steers, and they'd match them up and save them for Saturday at the 10-man. Well, the 10-man is like the guys, you know, the toughest guys in sport of rodeo, NFR qualifiers. But like it's, you know, Duhon and you know, like Mike Smith and Oatberry, and you know, it's the big boys. Mm-hmm. And I just love strong steers, and I always had a knack of being able to throw them. So I just always wanted to enter it. And so one year we was rodeoing down at Lufkin, and I come up to Sam. I said, "Hey, I got $1,000 saved up. Because it costs $1,000, winner take all, $10,000." And he's like, "Sure you're ready for that battle royale?" I'm like, I just want to try them on, you know. And sure enough, I was riding a little bay horse that Kyle Hughes owned, and I started really getting with him. He runs through that hole, and man, I felt like a Superman if I was riding him, you know. And they start the match off, and these big steers. Like one steer that it was number 4. I still remember him. I need to get that old VHS tape out, but they averaged like 22 seconds on getting him down. I was 4.7. And like I run him the 6th time, but then like he never get much better. But like that was kind of like when I left there, I'm like, I can compete.
Yeah.
You know.
It boosted your confidence.
But there's like, it really gave me like validation to myself that like, yeah, you should go put your money up. You know, you got a chance. But
what was the 10? So the 10-man was it 10? It was 10 guys, and you each run.
Yeah. So they bring 10 guys, 10 steers, and it's the baddest steers that they can find. So it's, it's just catch them and get them down, and, boy, that day, just, just kind of in the zone and worked my way. But then, I just love strong steers. Well, that hurt me winning because like, I knew I was really good at strong steers.
Mm-hmm.
So self-fulfilling prophecy, I'd go to rodeo.
You'd get
I
one
wouldn't
like
get
that.
the high loper that everybody wanted that would just throw himself. I'd get the big old musk hog.
They were talking about that the other day on like, I don't remember, it was like Joe and Brent or Blair or somebody. They were talking about that in the calf roping. Like, I think it was Joe or one of them. They were saying like, they just had the confidence like, I'm going to draw the pup. And sure enough, they draw the pup every time. DX Trailer Sales is based out of Lubbock, Texas, and it's definitely not just a trailer dealership. If you are involved in the Western way of life, and if you're listening to this show, you probably are, they have something you need. From trailers for a day working cowboy to a full-time cattle hauler to hay trailers for a farmer or rancher to arena drags, rope and chutes, and feeders for the rodeo cowboy or cowgirl. They also deal in every kind of hay any of your animals could ever need. Literally anything you need for farming, ranching, or rodeoing, they have something for you. And it's going to be at a super affordable price. Besides all that, everyone you deal with there is super friendly and helpful. We just got new custom flatbeds built for our pickups, and I also got probably the coolest trailer you've ever seen built. And you can stay tuned for a video we're going to do, and it's going to show all of that and some more of their products also. So check out DX Trailer Sales on Facebook or dxtrailers.com.
And that's when you get into winning, it's what you believe, and I've seen some of the guys, it's just, they'll walk up to Penny's like, I'm going to have that one. Sure enough, we walk out of the rodeo office. Oh crap. He's got him again, and it's just, but that's a winning mindset. You got to have that, especially in the steer wrestling. It really comes down to when you get guys at that caliber and horses of that caliber, it comes down to who has the best farm animal a lot of the times, you're going to speed them up. And but like on one head, but like in the average, if you can, like I run a strong steer and like instead of being 7, I might be 4.8 and then come back with a good steer and be 4.2. I can get 2 checks, I can get, the fast steer check in the round, and then I'll get the average check from getting a tougher steer down. But it's just a circus event, at the end of the day. You got to you got to have a partner that's willing to dance.
Do you think that like bulldogging has kind of fallen off since that time? Like, is there less bulldoggers? I don't keep.
It seemed like there's less. Like when I moved to Decatur, Texas, I was rodeoing and met Gail. She was out there in Oakdale, and she's a flight attendant for Southwest, and so when she was going to work, she'd either have to drive to Amarillo and catch a flight back to Oakland, was her base, or she'd go to Denver and then have to fly to Oakland. And I didn't know if I'd ever win another check. So I'm like, we better keep your job, So we moved closer to Love Field. And when I moved down to Decatur, I didn't have an arena for the first 7-8 months. And there was probably 4 nights out of the week, there was somewhere I'd go bulldog and run as many as I want to. And now I'm the only arena around there that really bulldogs. It's tough, And then like, I was just talking to Oak last night. He said, there's only one arena up there in Chakotah, bulldogging. But the juniors is really helping out. But like, I think a lot of the big money that's starting to get involved is going to get a lot of people. Like the reason I wanted to rodeo is I didn't want to run that shovel on the farm. That wasn't made for me. I didn't, I got softer hands than that.
Kind of where rodeo came from. It was like the guys that didn't want to work, full time on the ranch. They could just go work on the weekends and make a living.
Yeah, exactly. But no, and I think with social media and just kind of the way this, the narrative's changed to where everything's so visible. Kids don't want to get made fun of. Somebody's going to have a camera and it's easier not to put your neck out there. Before we didn't have nothing to lose. Yeah. Like, heck yeah, I'll do that. That means I can get off the farm. Heck yeah, and so I don't know. I think there's a little bit of that that's affecting the numbers, but like, man, I really think, like bareback riding was really hurting there for a while. Mm-hmm. And the latest resurgence with some of the young guys coming up and that the documentary that the Cowboy Channel's doing on Rocker.
I've been watching that.
It's unreal. Good. And I guarantee there's going to be a whole new wave of bareback ride, and I rodeo with Sid, and we're good buddies, but then like to really get behind the scenes and like Rocker, he's, not really a bad guy at rodeo, but like that's a Steiner. They like to get out there and, create some emotion to what they do. And that's great. Not everybody can be Jojo Lamont and cool cowboy, but, it takes everybody, but we need to expand this sport. That's what I was saying with the fantasy. I love it because we get phone calls like, what's saddle bronc riding? Oh, what's an 8-second contest between, an old bronc and an old boy. And they started when they said there wasn't a bronc, they could be rode.
Yeah.
And then we get the same phone calls that like, hey, I got tickets to Ellensburg for all 3 perfs, and then they'll call the office and like, well, how come Cody Wright's not winning? I'm like, well, it's been a while since I think he's kind of retired now, but like they start getting in that way. It gives them a door, an attachment point to the sport. And then like, as far as thinking outside the box, like the FS1, like we love the Cowboy Channel, we love it, but like we're preaching to the same choir. And that's where
I've been saying that. I was like, for sure. Like but if you want to grow, if you want more money, which that's what everybody wants. I mean, contestants do anyway. Is like more money. We got to go get other people, not just us. I mean, it's great to make us happy, but
the focus is, it's a great network, and like they're really doubling down on getting a premier product in front, to be on 24/7 instead of just arena feed, but really put our best foot forward, because like when they come to the Cowboy Channel, we need to keep them right. And so, like, I want that little kid in Chicago that's watching Fox Sports or ABC to like, oh, I want to be like Crockett. I want to be like Rocker. I want to be like Jess Pope or, Will Loomis. And then we convert him to come to the Cowboy Channel and become loyal, and become, to where a loyal fan base that we're going to be able to serve for a long time. But then like, and I really believe in Teton Ridge's, and the Americans' vision, Cowboy Channel's vision, and passionate about expanding the sport, opening it up to new eyes, with the media company to where we let more people in. And so just like, it was 2 years ago, Post Malone, he played the American, and we got a lot of heat from it. We got some bad comments, but I was 100% for it. I thought it was the best move we could have done. Because Posty, he has a following. Like he has fans that are fanatics. But if we had George Strait there, and I love George Strait just as much as anybody, but if we had George Strait there, Matt Merritt, he's one of the best entertainers we have there, at the American or anywhere. Well, during the rodeo, he told the fans, he's like, how many fans is this is your first rodeo? The whole top row went crazy. Well, that's what we want. We want to kind of have that bait out there to where, here, come watch Post, but leave a rodeo fan.
That's what I say about Kid Rock. We've been to the Kid Rock rodeo both years, and I'm like, this is it. This is how rodeo goes to the next level.
It's
right
great.
Here.
It's great. Yeah.
It's intense and like you said at Kid Rock, it was like these straight rockers, like rock people, not Rocker Steiner, but like sleeveless shirts and mohawks and stuff walking around, and then just your ranch cowboy. Everybody was there and loving it and entertained the whole time. Even the first one, went on till like 1 o'clock in the morning or something.
4.5 hours, something like that.
And I was like, it was really long, but the whole time I was entertained.
Yep. And that's that's the National Finals Rodeo. I try to get anybody that's, never been to rodeo. That's the place to go, because it's the 15 best stock, 15 best riders. And then they try to do it within 2 hours. Like it's nonstop action, and so like, yeah. And then, there's some really good opportunities out there, and there's a lot of money, that's to be made as rodeo contestants. So hopefully we'll get some more contestants in the bulldogging. I think it's going to get a little tougher.
Yeah. I think too, if we made but if the all around was like more prestigious or something. I think that it's kind of lost its luster, probably because the same people win it over and over. But that was always my goal. That was the whole deal. Everybody junior rodeoing. They enters everything you could enter. That's how I got into bulldogging and I was always a calf roper. But I would team rope and bulldog, just like to go for you going for the all around,
Yep.
And then you had the cutting. A lot of guys did that too. And just that was the whole deal. It's like the all around. That's the most coveted saddle or buckle you can win at any of the rodeos.
Yep.
I feel like it's kind of lost its luster. And then also you hear, like Shad was talking about it, like you got to be so specialized to win anymore.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Yep.
But if you won to win the all around for the year, you won $1 million or something, that would probably entice, like people are going to be entering up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
That would work. Get some old rusty knee braces out again.
Yeah, you'd be entering back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how did you progress from there? You kind of saw you could win a little bit, and
Yep. So rodeoed around there. First couple of years I went hard. Ended up one year just right out of the finals, and then the next year same. Well, both years just a little bit out, and then I met Gail when I was rodeoing out there in Oakdale, and then I met her at Oakdale's rodeo. Gave her a ring at Hayward. Got married when the Cow Palace was going on out there because she's from out there, and then we went to our first NFR. And I was that's 2002, and back then we didn't have much money. We lied to the front desk there at the Hard Rock because all the bulldoggers got a room at the Hard Rock, and it's right there by the stall, so it was awesome. Mm-hmm. And lied to the front desk, said we had drugs, medicine that we had to have refrigerated, so we got a little store, our little fridge. We stocked it full of cold cuts. We'd have eat buddy, And I remember one night, it was maybe the third night. I won like third round, It was a lot of money, And Gail and I, we had about a 15-minute discussion whether we should order, if we should splurge and get a pizza, pepperoni pizza delivered to the room. That's the best pizza we ever had, But now it's crazy, because now we've been operating out there for 21 years. We've done 210 nights of free entertainment. And then a lot of times, in the agreement, like if they didn't want to up the licensee, portion of it, that I'd always kind of, I need more room credit or, and then there for a while at the Mirage, we was staying back there in the villas, we had our own butler. Like it was crazy, A
lot different from your first experience.
Yeah, we're leaving the ranch. We can't wait to get to Vegas, Let's not eat until we get there, And then it's just nuts. Like we'd be leaving the booth and we'd call the butler and he'd have whatever we wanted. Like it's just nuts. And but the best year was that year that we had 50 cents in our pocket, that was the most memorable and the funnest year, because with that, have you leveling up and all the responsibilities that come out here, because it was crazy. We usually had about two to three head, maybe four head at the finals. And so when my dad was alive, he loved it. We'd meet down there daylight and get a coffee and go out there and we'd clean stalls. And then I'd ride and exercise the horses while you clean stalls, and then put them up, go open the booth at Cowboy Christmas at 8:00, and then work the booth there, and sell Rodeo Vegas merch, stuff like that. Well, then sign autographs for all the sponsors and partners and stuff like that. And then, oh my God, the rodeo's at 4:00. I better go to the rodeo. Run out there, and get horses warmed up, go to the arena, do the grand entry, bulldog, come right back out, throw the horses in the stalls, take care of them, head straight to Mirage for the watch party to make sure all the partners are happy and everything is going good there, and waiting for the Cowboys to come after the rodeo, and then stay there till 2:00 in the morning with all your buddies, maybe 4:00, and then wake up at 5 the next morning. It's crazy. I'm busy out there now, and I'm not even entered.
Yeah.
I don't know how stupid it was. Gail probably thought I was off my rocker, but I just, I didn't want to go back to that farm shovel.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes you do some stuff.
Yeah.
What year, how long were you going out there rodeoing until you came up with Rodeo Vegas, Pro Fantasy, all that, the
first
business
year.
side of things?
Yeah. First year.
Oh, really?
With Fantasy Rodeo, when we first started that and put it on the internet, we just kind of played it, and I thought if internet comes out, well, we get a lot of money that we can win. Like we'll have Crockett put in, like we're pretty good at our game. Well, like it actually took us 5 years to even break even.
And like, you said, let's before we get too far ahead. So how you started Pro Fantasy, like just guys sitting around at home.
Yep.
Betting on the rodeo pretty much.
We had some buddies there and they were, like, we need to get this on the internet, And that was when the internet was, new. Like all of our entries back then was we'd have little entry forms, send them out, and we'd go around to sell barns and where the farmers and ranchers have coffee and, and try to explain and get your NFR team, and then they'd send us a check. Well, we had it all on the internet, but back then nobody would run a credit card online. There's no way. I'm not going to run a credit card online. And then it wasn't even and then like the first year, we wasn't getting the entries. We're like, well, they think it's a scam, we need to guarantee the entries. The first year we guaranteed 112,000. We only brought in like 26,000, borrowed the bank. So it's going to work, So we actually, for 5 years, it took us that much to even break even with the entries,
And I think that is huge right there. That, like, I want to know your mindset on that. Cause that's been my, that's why most people never like get going, never start on anything, because what I've found is anything you start, even if you're passionate about or whatever it is, like it's going to be hard when you start and you got to push through it. And most people, like, I say this, like people that listen all the time are going to be tired of hearing it, but I heard it in a book. I don't remember which book it was, but they were talking about, it was a really good illustration. You can imagine this. It was like a flywheel and you're sitting there trying to get it turning. And it's got something on it to where if you ever can get it broke over, then the momentum starts taking over. But to get it broke over, most people quit right before they get it there, and then it just falls back. You're like, this is stupid. I'm going to go do something else. But if you can ever get it going, then it gets easier and easier. So, like, what was your vision, or what were those times like for 5 years? You're just like, another loser.
We kept getting a lot of great feedback, how it helped the sport, but also like the fun in it, like it created a new culture. Like now, the NFR, there's a lot of people that they're not going to miss the finals without a fantasy team. It just brings that extra level of excitement for them, So like, it's just kind of like that comic about that one guy about ready to hit, the gold digging underneath him, and we didn't know like win, but we just thought it was a worthy cause. We
gonna hit eventually.
Great for rodeo, and like we're just gonna double down and just keep working harder, and like maybe next year we'll get put some money in the bank, or just break even. But no, it took a while, like it's our industry's a little bit later to adopt technology wise, and because DraftKings come out, we started in 2003. DraftKings come out with the same model, basically how to put, a football team on daily fantasy in 2016. So the smartphone didn't even come out till 2009. And now, like you can get a team within 60 seconds right on your smartphone and be ready to go. And so, 22 years is you see a lot of changes.
I don't even remember at first. Like I was telling you, you had the sheet and you mailed it in. And then I don't remember how you kept up with, did you just get something in the mail if you won or something? I can't even remember.
It was online. We kept our results online, but a lot of people didn't have laptops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I don't think we even, which obviously we never won anything, or you probably would have got a hold of us.
Yeah.
But now, the last couple years I've played it, I just get on my phone like every day. I'm like, oh man, I'm in the top 10%. Like I got a chance. And then next night you're in the top 80% or something.
Yep.
And you get to it's more, you can see it more in real time. Let's be honest, ordering custom merch is way harder than it should be. You get some random sales rep who thinks ag is short for aggressive. They slap your logo on a boxy tee no one wants, or the same cap that your competitor has, and then hit you with surprise charges for artwork, setup, and who knows what else. That's why I've been working with Brand Cowboy. They actually live in the ag, western, and outdoor world. No artwork fees, no setup fees, and they know what looks good because they're part of the culture. They're not faking it from an embroidery shop in the big city or screen printing shirts in their brother-in-law's garage. We're even building Wealthy Cowboy Show merch with them right now, and it's been awesome. They made it easy, fast, and actually fun. And if you want more than logos on blanks, they've got full cut and sew capabilities built from scratch, custom fabrics just for your brand. Private labeling inside and out. Head to brandcowboy.com and book a call. Mention Crockett and get a free 30-minute consultation on how you can build merchandise that your customers will actually want to wear, and at such a high quality you could offer it for sale no matter what industry you're in. Brand Cowboy, made for you, made for your brand.
Yeah, and the results has got faster. You know, we had I have a new this technology company that development company, and we do other stuff. Build apps and websites for, in the industry. But we really had to do a reconfiguration of our platform to keep up with that much traffic going through there. Mm-hmm. Because not only our teams that were, updating, but then when all those players hit at one time, we got to have enough bandwidth to be able to deliver that traffic instantly. And so it works pretty slick now. We've been working on it. And then we got some cool, we're going to come out with a native app. Before, I didn't ever want to make a native app because I got to give 30% to Apple or Google. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep it. And so right now we call it a progressive web app, a PWA. And so it's a mobilized website if you look at it on a phone. And most of the entries come from the phone anymore. But we have plans to release a native app, and it's going to be some really cool features on there. We're going to have a league to where you can, talk, crap about, all within your, buddies that's in the league. And then, like last year we did a free game, the sweepstakes game called Rodeo Picks, where you just pick one in each event, tied it into a performance every night on Cowboy Channel. We did 80 performances, and then we did Summer Run, and we did 72 performances. And so we're going to take all of our games that's offerings and then wrap it up into one experience in a native app. And so you'll be able to download it, and we can send you notifications. That's the biggest thing is we're so busy anymore. And 1 year out there at the finals, the guy that won the year before, I said, man, come over the booth, say hi. And I said, hey man, what's your team look like this year? He said, man, I forgot to get one. I'm like, give me your phone number. I'm going to text you next time when the entries close, So that's when I come out with rodeo guests and some of the, the free sweepstakes game, because I'm not, try to get your phone number to where I can remind you. Yeah. Don't miss out on all this money. Yeah.
I get the messages all the time.
Yeah. And so now we'll have it in a notification, in our app. And so, because sending out those SMSs they kind of hit the bottom line, when you on the bulk part of it. But
if you're sending out thousands, yeah.
But no, I'm excited to launch a native app. And this year, the National Finals, we're giving away the best prize ever. It's crazy. Because we've always given away a truck. Well, probably in the last 12 years. And then the last 3 years, we give away a trailer. Well, this is a custom living quarters with Outback. So here's your rig. If you want to leave the house, you can just go, or if you want to go rodeo, it's Elite 4-horse. Elite's my favorite trailer. They're tough. It's got drop downs, slants, front and back drop downs, tack trailer. The Outback living quarters is sick. It's actually, they actually, said, will this work? And this is the design I wanted them to do, but it's that couch and it has that desk that comes out underneath the bed. And have a really good partnership with Ag Wagon. They're also a Pro Rodeo partner, and great bunch of guys. But they take a regular Ford or a Ram. The winner gets to choose a Ford or a Ram, and whatever color you want. But then they put all the Ag Wagon upgrades on that. They go through there with Fox struts and shocks and a winch. They put all these lights on there. Like other day, I just driving around in the middle of the night, just like I can just imagine just checking heifers in it, like it just lights up the whole country. But then it also has, so you can pick whether it's a fleet side, short bed, dually, whatever you want to. So the MSRP of that rig of if your fantasy team wins the most National Finals Rodeo, it's over $310,000. So that's the biggest prize ever. That's I'm excited to give that away because I got a great job. I get to give away prizes.
Yeah.
I get to talk to winners, and so it's really cool. And like we've really been fortunate to have some great winners. Like the lady that won the performance horse, we gave away a 0 turn, the performance horse fantasy, and she just moved into a new place and had this yard, and her and her mom was going back and forth, and they just couldn't find a mower they wanted to buy, and so she enters it and she wins it. And she was so thankful. And her dad was an old bulldogger that I knew, and so I didn't know, who she was until she said that. And so we really get, lucky with some good winners, and but we're really proud about like what it does for the industry to get new people in there, but also keep eyes on it, to where I'm too busy to watch finals. Well, no, I got
money up, yeah,
team,
yeah. That's it's definitely been fun ever since it came out to you put some money up, and that way it doesn't matter who you got, if it's your favorite person or not, because the salary deal, you may have 15th person pick because they're just your last pick or whatever, and you're like, come on.
Yeah. I think even when you're entered, you'll be out there in Vegas, and you're running around signing autographs or doing whatever, but the rodeo fans catch up to you and like, man, you really need to bear down. You're really killing my fantasy.
Yeah, I'm sure
team.
the contestants hate it.
I'm like, yeah, I'm trying pretty hard. I got some skin in this deal too.
I would compete for quite a bit of money myself.
Yeah.
How did all this come about? Because it's not some little backyard podunk deal anymore. Where did all the business skills come from? Was it the business management that you switched to, or how did you learn all this stuff that you've turned it into like a sure enough big business?
Man, there's no secret. I mean, there's no business sauce. Business comes down to TRY. You just try. You learn, you fail, you just do it again. And like, I'm a nerd, and like if I'll just dive into stuff, just to figure them out, but it's just being passionate about. My biggest deal is how can you create the most value for your consumer, for your family, for your friends, for the industry, And if you look at that approach to where I want to make sure you win the deal every time, that's what's going to make you successful at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. The old Zig Ziglar, if you help enough other people get what they want, you can have whatever you want.
Yeah, back when I was rodeo and junior rodeo, and I had Zig Ziglar tape cassettes, boy, I just wore them out. Love that guy.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff. Yeah, I think, and kind of skipped over, but you also launched Rodeo Vegas at the same time.
Yep. So he's out there, and I actually want to do a fantasy rodeo after party. And then those properties out there, the reason they're very successful is they have a gaming license. And so they're not going to put that at risk. And then when they kind of went out there, I just went out there and started knocking on doors. I'm like, hey, I got this marketing concept. And they're like, well, I don't know if we should call it, fantasy, because that's, kind of against our gaming license. And so I said, we'll call it Rodeo Vegas. Well, after that first meeting, I run up to the room, got my laptop out, bought rodeovegas.com on GoDaddy. But no, like when I first made the finals, Gail and I were just married, and we go into PF Chang's to eat with her mom. And I had, everybody gets a NFR coat, jacket, qualifier jacket. And there's something, they're kind of a status symbol. I didn't know that. I'm just a farm kid, and I walk in there and I'm just kind of waiting for her table, and I look around and people's looking at the door. And I started looking around behind me. I'm like, there's something important here. Well, they were looking at that jacket. And I was like, oh, I got to remember that, that's an image that, you need to kind of recreate.
Set you apart. Yeah.
Yeah. And so back then, and it was, Michael Gahn, he's done so much for this sport. And he was at the Gold Coast then, and he'd give anybody with a PRCA card a free room there. Well, the after party was at the Gold Coast, and that's where everybody went. Man, it was just packed, I said, well, there's got to be another, opportunity too. But I always thought of Vegas as a strip, like neon lights and the newest property, so went to knocking on doors, and they said, yeah, and I said, well, I want, Rodeo Vegas is actually the rodeo, but it's going to be on the big screens. We don't have to bring in stock. We're going to have partners. We're going to have sponsors that pay for it. It's going to be free entertainment for the rodeo fans. There's only 17,000 that's going to fit in Thomas and Mack. And so where's other people go to watch the rodeo? And then everybody wants to go out to the rodeo because they're in Vegas, And so wanted to create a unique event that created enough value for everybody to go to. And so number one, I wanted to create enough value for the Cowboys to go there. And so we had incentives, but also I needed to create enough value for the sponsors to stand up because it's free entertainment, so it's partner driven. So I had to create enough value for them to be able to, give us value to help pay for our entertainers. And then have enough value for the rodeo fans to show up to hang out. So like a lot of those, it's synergistically come together because like we gave enough value to the rodeo Cowboys to go there. And so then the fans knew that's where the Cowboys go after rodeo. And then when you have free entertainment, and then we started at TI and we was there for 3 years. Then we moved over to Mirage. And the Mirage, we just cleared the sports book out. And the VIP was kind of up on for Cowboys and sponsors up on an elevated deal. But it was just a mosh pit, And we have, I don't know how many nights we just had fun there. It was great. But, like the Cowboys, if they wore their Rodeo Vegas jacket, and then I was the first one that started putting, logos on the sleeve and it kind of, to where, a brand.
It's almost like a NASCAR jacket with all the sponsors and
but
it's super
brand,
nice.
A brand could get, instead of sponsoring one Cowboy, they sponsor Rodeo Vegas. They're on the backs of 120 contestants.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they wear their jacket to the Rodeo Vegas party, back in the early days, we give them a casino chip. And so they'd reach in there and get $100. And it was a promo chip, so it didn't cost the casino much, because they had to win it to keep it. You know how rodeo Cowboys and gaming go, And so, but it was very popular. It was fun, and like, Billy Etbar, he'd come up every night, like he's got way more important things to do, but no, this is a good deal,
Mm-hmm.
And, but like we had so much fun there.
Were y'all one of the first one? Well, I mean, you had Gold Coast and I guess probably some more stuff downtown, but like, were y'all one of the first ones? That was the first one that I knew of, but I mean, I'm not that old. So
yeah. And like, we were like on George's podcast, he's like, like I said, no, the South Point was, they've had watch parties before Rodeo Vegas did. He's like, the South Point wasn't even,
Mm-hmm.
built in. I'm sure they had them back then, I just,
Because we went, I was telling you before, your marketing worked on me. I was a kid. I was blessed enough that my parents took me when I was in high school, and we stayed at Harrah's. I'm sure because it was cheap or something, but we were right across the street from the Mirage. And I don't remember, for whatever reason, we go over there, and I'm like, just like you said, it drew me in like a fly. I mean, like I'm like, oh my gosh, all the calf ropers are there, the bulldoggers, a bunch of the other contestants. They're all walking around with those badass jackets on, and I'm like, I gotta have one of these jackets. And
we didn't sell them back then.
Yeah, and you couldn't get them anyway. Y'all raffled one off at the party. Like I couldn't participate, but all my family, friends, and my parents, every beer you drank or every drink you got a ticket. And they made friends with the waitress and got extra tickets. And we just had a pile of tickets around there. And I wasn't even supposed to be in the party anyway because I was like 16. But yeah, I remember, and like just luck at it, it's kind of like that, manifestation deal, like you're talking about what you're going to draw or whatever. I wanted it so bad. Well, they called out, I don't remember if you were up there, whoever called out like 3 numbers, nobody showed up. The next number, they call out one of ours, and we win the jacket. It's a double XL. It's probably like nobody fit in it, is why y'all gave it away. And so I wore it and I rolled the sleeves up, and I was like, man, I'm the coolest guy around here.
It's crazy.
People thought I was a contestant after that too. I could wear it for 2 or 3 years after that, and people were like, "Are you a contestant?"
It's nuts the attention that jacket gets. Like we get hit up from like big time movie stars and stuff like that. Like, I need a jacket. Like we were there at the booth one time, and Nicolas Cage and Carrot Top come by, and my wife is a Nicolas Cage fan. She couldn't even talk. I was like, "You're embarrassing me right now, babe. Just say something." And but like it's pretty iconic and it's cool. Like it's been on. You can see those jackets been on the White House. They've been like, you can see them everywhere. And on TV shows. But it's pretty cool. Like, it gives the partners a lot of value, but then also like I was, I was a broke farm kid, but like also, some of the rodeo guys kind of get an attitude, like I made the finals. What do you owe me? And, but like out there, I wanted to create Rodeo Vegas to where you're going to treat that cowboy like a rock star, and so they get a jacket. And like we used to have 25 to 30 guys on the Rodeo Vegas team. They got a free room besides the one that the NFR gave them. And then we'd also, pick up 2,500 of their food and beverage. And so that was a pretty big deal back then, But then, I always kind of picked the good guys that's going to hang out at parties. So a lot of bulldoggers, and saddle bronc riders. And we got some pretty wild stories. And I've been called in the president's office several times to watch some videotapes, And so, but that's what cowboys do in Vegas. We just rodeo.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always cool. Like I just remember, and y'all had the rig parked out there out front. I mean, all your marketing, that's why I'm so curious of how you came up with all this, because all your marketing is on point with the jackets, the party, having that rig out there with Rodeo Vegas all over it and everything. It's all been really cool.
Well, thanks. We just try to look like, and like a lot of the times, like most of the times, it's like I didn't have a marketing budget. So I was trying to guerrilla market and get deals and like, wonder if this will get some attention, what I mean? And then now, with the their social's really blown up. And so you can get the word out there a little bit more. Paid marketing, it really works, We're doing a pretty successful campaign right now with paid marketing. And then, with our email list. And so, but it's just kind of a broke bulldogger looking to get the word out without having to spend any money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I tell people that all the time, because I've took a deep dive ever since I've kind of branched out into the business world. I've been in like sales and marketing. So I'm just always very intrigued with different ways to market and stuff like that. And social media marketing is huge for me. But also like I try to tell people, I'm like, they'll ask me about it and like, or I'll have classes or, I run ads on here and stuff. They're like, well, I can't afford that. And I'm just like, well, for one, you can't afford it because you're not marketing now, so you don't make enough money. Or two, like find free ways, get creative. Like that was me. I think a rodeo guy, or like I was a broke day worker, a broke cowboy in general. And you're like, I want that. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to get resourceful, find a way to get it. And, work your way around. How can I provide value to this person? I don't have the money that they want. What else could what else could I give them, and trying to get creative and think about that. Like I was thinking about this the other day about, I think I was watching a deal on TV about, it's called American Titans. It's on one of the channels up there that like hardly anybody watches, but I think it was Rockefeller on there. And they were talking about he was really good at finding people's motivation, and he was real quick to know what motivated people so he can make deals. And I was thinking about that. I was like, well, money motivates most people, but if you don't have money, or also there's other ways, like money's just a tool. So it may be freedom, or it may be status, or something like you said, the sponsors, if you can elevate them, put them up there in the VIP, give them a few free things, make them feel cool, that will make them give you money, or whatever. There's always some way around. If you didn't hear Ben Hale's story on episode 69, you need to check it out. He's been earning trust in the cattle industry one handshake at a time since 1995 at Western Livestock. Western Livestock is proud to be family owned and operated, now with 5 locations: Oklahoma City, Woodward, Comanche, and Waurika, Oklahoma, and also Knoxville, Iowa. They're proud to do business the Western way, with honesty, integrity, and a handshake that still means something. You can join them ringside or stream their sales from wherever you are. Western Livestock, where a handshake is their word, cattle are money, and timing is everything. If you're looking to buy or sell, contact Ben Hale at 940-631-BEEF. That's 940-631-2333. Check them out on Facebook or westernlivestock.com.
Yeah, and there's a hospitality play to it too, because they can bring in sales leads or executives that they want to introduce to the Western industry, and they get the VIP treatment, and then we'll have, I always try to go way outside the box and like, oh, I'm going to have a limo for them, you know? So the first thing you do is you always, whatever property you're working with out there in Vegas, you make sure you tip the transportation guy and get him on your team because that'll grease the wheels. And Vegas, you know, you used to, that like tips run, you could get anything you want to if you're a tipper, you know, and like, you know, it's still today, but like back in the day, like you could get like if you treat people good out there and they know you treat people, you know, treat them that good, they don't tell you no.
Yeah.
You know, they remember you and then that also carries on to the teams, the next year's teams. And, you know, it's grease out there that works.
Yeah. I heard something about tips the other day about what it stood for. It was
to ensure promptness.
Yes. Yeah. And they were talking about that and they said like, they were talking about people with money. The reason they get better treatment is because he said like, why would you, if you wanted good service, why wouldn't you tip them in advance as opposed to after and then rate them off their service? And like, if you tip them in advance, everybody, you know, or 99% of the people are going to do good for you.
Yep.
As opposed to they may or may not. And then you judge them off of that. There's a whole different kind of perspective on tipping.
I've tried that for a little while. But then I always want to give the service or, you know, an opportunity to provide the value. And they're going to get paid what they want. If I really like them, they're going to remember me. But if they're like, I don't want to pay them for something that's not genuine.
Yeah.
If it's a show because you know that, you know, you're going to get paid more or you already got paid, should I reward that behavior or should I reward somebody that just busts their butt all the time and they deserve it?
Yeah.
So you can look at it either way. I don't know which one's right.
There's no right answer, I don't think.
Yep.
Talk about, so moving, I haven't been out there, but the Mirage, I guess, is gone. But talk about moving now. You're at Resorts World, right? Yeah,
Resorts World, you know, and like we've been operating out there. I've been operating out there for 22 years. And so a lot of the people in Vegas, you know, they move properties and management teams and stuff like that. And it seemed like kind of getting the old boys back together at Resorts World. And so have some close friends out there. And a lot of Vegas is leveraged and, you know, having relationships out there. But this last year we moved into Zouk nightclub. And then so it's not really, you know, like, I don't want to think of it as a nightclub. I just think of it as best venue to have an after party in Vegas. Because it's crazy. The screens move and like the audio's crazy. And so this year we're going to have the watch party starts at 5:00. And we also have, last year I come up with all ages for like 20-some years out there. Everybody, or a lot of families would come up to me like, where can we take the kids to watch rodeo? I'm like, you got to be 21 to get in here, you know? So last year we started, there's a sports restaurant bar that's outside of Zouk in the district. And it's called Red Tail, and it's awesome. It's got arcade games, and like it's a really fun outlet. And it has great food. And so we started an all ages watch party there. So folks can go in there and take their kids. They can have a beer and stuff, but the kids can just sit there and watch the deal. So we're going to have the Zouk watch party and also the Red Tail all ages watch party at 5:00. And then the entertainment will start probably about 9:30 after the performance. And then we're bringing in Braxton Keith this year. We got Casey Donahue coming back. He's always a favorite. Got my good buddy Chancey Williams coming back, you know, and he's my guy. I love that guy. And then on Friday and Saturday, I plan on not staying up that late, but late night at Zouk is we're gonna have like last year we had Snoop Dogg, but this year Snoop Dogg couldn't make it, so we're still have a really cool artist that we haven't announced that night. And he's going to be like, he's cool, but he's not Snoop cool, but he's cool. If you can't have Snoop, this guy will work. But have T-Pain again this year, Cascade. We're going to have Low Cash as Rodeo Vegas Entertainment. We used to have them at the Mirage, and they were so fun. Finally got them back on Rodeo Vegas. And but yeah, the late night, they probably don't get up there and start playing till 1:30. And this old cowboy can't do it. Can't.
Well, it seems, I like to go to bed be in bed around 9 if I can, but in Vegas, it's a different story. You kind of forget what time it is.
Oh, it's ruthless. Because we leave, you know, traditionally what we do is we have 2 rigs And even if like we're not, because like 9 years I was hauling horses out there too, and then plus a prize rig or trailer with all of our booths and merchandise and stuff like that. And so Friday morning, like Gail always cooks a turkey and puts it on the island there at the house, and everybody, all the guys going with me, we'd all walk by and grab a leg and pack, and then daylight we'd take 2 rigs and drive all straight through to Vegas, and then we get there Saturday morning, and then that's nonstop until Sunday we get back, and we're just tuckered. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. And like, that's number one rule. If you're working with me or for me, like if we're not having fun, we're not going to do it, and if you don't think it's fun, we're going to make it fun. And so we have a good time. We have some good guys out there to helping us.
Yeah. Tell us what's new this year in the Pro Fantasy, or like all the prizes you can win, the different leagues, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The biggest prize, best prize ever. I just want to let everyone know that like it's easy to play. You don't have to draft. You don't have to trade. You can get a team within under 60 seconds. You just pick one in each event. I'm going to actually give everyone $50,000 more this year, because for 21 years, we had a $550,000 salary cap. Because I didn't, like when you give away a truck and trailer, you don't want to have a tie.
Yeah.
Like how are you going to split that in half? Like start at the hood and go to the back, And so where
did y'all come up with 550? Like how did y'all do that?
Just a probability. Like if you look at 150,000 and then 10,000, and then we run probability on it. And then so that's a median, so you can have some really good guys. But if you look at the salary cap, if we don't have a salary cap, everybody's going to pick the same team. They're going to get Will Loomis and Rocker Steiner. And so the lower you have the salary cap, the less probability you have of ties. But actually we have 4 tiebreakers in there. We have number one is your first team, salary cap team. And then the second one is you pick a tiebreaker team, and there's no salary. So you can just go through and pick whoever you want to. And then you estimate how much your team is going to win. That's the third tiebreaker. And then the fourth tiebreaker is time of entry. It comes down to whoever gets in first down to the second. So
has it ever gone that far?
A few rounds and a few average places. Last year, it even went to the tiebreaker team. But we haven't had a winner yet, go to the tiebreaker team. Hopefully one day if we get more people playing.
Yeah. Yeah, as I guess the probability gets more. Yeah, that's always been my deal, like picking with the salary, being a calf roper, like I always splurge. Like that's kind of my first, like how I do it is like I pick the calf roping, and then you kind of bounce around, and then a lot of times bull riding and barrel racing is like whatever money I have left, you're picking at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, and like I'm not ever, able to pick one because it looked funny if I won the truck and trailer, right? But like,
and it goes to me.
Yeah, I can see some trends. So like, some of the popular questions we have, with fantasy is, should I pick the same team ropers? Should I pick the header and heater separate or same? Because depends on how they.
You could double your money up, or you could
win first,
cover your bets, or yeah.
Yep. And so if you look, like one of my favorite pages on this magazine, if you don't have a hard copy of this, you can go to profantasyrodeo.com and look at the digital version. But there's a page on here called Trucks and Teams, and it actually shows the winner's team. So like anybody could have picked Shane's team last year, right? He actually didn't even spend his full salary cap. He was under 530. But then you could see if his partners matched up. So he had Clint Summers and Jake Long. They roped together. And then, but there's been winners both ways. One thing that I might give a little insight on is maybe put a little more thought into your bull rider. Because when the PRCA started counting day money for world standings, so because we put the official standings in as your team, so like if you win 37,000, you get 37,000 on your team, and so.
Oh yeah, if everybody bucks off and then
so Kai Hamilton, remember that guy's tough.
I think I had Kai that year.
Yeah, he won 87,000 that one round, and so that all goes to your team. So it just depends. Like it's if that happens, it's better to have a bull rider that you really want.
I've done that before. I think it might have been that year. or something. But I have realized that it's almost like there'd be nights that nobody rides or only one or two people ride. So you need to really make sure your bull rider is going to be riding a few of the bulls at least. Because if you pick the 15th guy, I mean, no offense, I don't even know what the standings are, but like the bottom guys may not ride any bulls, or may not win any money, and then it's a wash. So
yep. And one of the cool and then I get we get some calls saying, how do I play for more money? And so I come up with the high roller league. So for $1,000, you can just join a pool of whoever wants to put $1,000 in, and then we pay $20,000. Well, last year we only had 23 people get in there, so it was pretty good odds. You know what I mean? And so we have a VIP for $500 with Western Legacy. They also get a custom Western Legacy hat if they win that. $500 to win $10,000. One of our most popular prize challenges. So prize challenge is just basically, it costs you $100 to get a team for all 10 nights. So that's that's $10 a night to play. And then we also pay for the rounds. But this year we're going to pay over $500,000 in cash and prizes for $100. But then the prize challenges is basically a pool. So you just have to beat the people that opted in for that challenge. And so you don't have to win it overall, but just beat those people. So, our most popular is Coors. They give us tickets for next year, 4 tickets to the finals each night at the NFR. Cactus Saddlery, it's a really popular prize challenge that we get. So that's kind of fun because it creates more winners that way too, And then we also have the Rock and Roll Denim Circuit, to where if you join that prize challenge, we're gonna go ahead and filter it down to where you're just playing against people in the Texas circuit. So you don't have to, beat everybody in that prize challenge, just those people. And then we're going to give away buckles for each circuit winner. And then, Rock and Roll's throwing a whole bunch of apparel at you, and it's going to be sweet stuff. Mm-hmm. So the prize challenges are kind of fun. Insurance is pretty wise investment. So $10, you'll automatically roll down below. 15, you can go above, and then platinum, you could pick above or below, but your contestant has to be injured now they're out of the competition for you to change your team. But one of the things that people I don't want to buy my team until the last minute, in case somebody gets hurt, every year, it seems like something happens, but we have it in Pro Fantasy Rodeo. You can buy your team and you can edit it. You just go on your phone and you can edit it, change 50 different times your lineup. And then we close entries and we close the edit button right when that first horse bucks at the NFR the first night. So don't feel bad this looks like a good team and you won't have buyer's remorse, tomorrow, because you can go back in there and change it.
Mm-hmm. Do y'all still have the rodeo free for a year deal?
Yeah, we still do. That's popular. It's good. I first started that, we had a deal with PRCA, and so 10,000. I put up 5, PRCA kicked in 5, and then we're just going to put it in their PRCA account. And then Keith Martin, he used to run San Antonio's rodeo, a great guy. He also was a chairman of the board on the PRCA, and he threw in a $5,000 gas card. The San Antonio rodeo did. And then the problem was the women got left out, right? Because it's WPRA. Mm-hmm. So then we just started saying, okay, anybody, and I don't care if it's a cutter, a reiner, I don't care if you're going to a gymkhana. If you sign up for the rodeo for free package and you're in the Western industry, going to Western events, you get 15,000.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was open to any of that.
Yeah, I open it up, because why segregate the women and then why just segregate just rodeo any Western event, if you're in this industry, if you want a rodeo for free, enter up.
Yeah. Do you remember some of the winners from that prize? Is it?
Yeah. One of the most memorable, they were a family from Florida, and they circuit rodeo down there, and they both worked hard, but then they've always wanted to go rodeo, and so they took off, I think maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and made a run around Cheyenne, all the Salt Lake rodeos, and they had a ball. It was so cool. Mm-hmm. We had a really good story on it, but that's a good package. $25 and you win 15,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Anything else on Pro Fantasy that If somebody's not sold yet, I don't know how you're gonna.
No, it's just
Tell 'em
fun,
to play.
and we love it. And like we get like if you have any questions, call the 800 number. It's 844 PF rodeo, and then my wife's going to answer you first because we're going to take phone calls as long as we're running for fantasy. Because,
Yeah, and you were saying that you're kind of there was talk of moving away from the phone and just putting it all online. But
Yep.
you said a lot of people still like to call in.
Absolutely not.
Running a ranch today means managing far more than cows. You're balancing multiple enterprises, family partners, land bases, leases, inventory, equipment, and markets that move fast. But if your books and inventories live in the checkbook, spreadsheets, or buried inside of QuickBooks, you're always reacting instead of steering the business. Ambrook gives ranchers real managerial insight, not just bookkeeping. See profitability by enterprise or location, know whether hay is paying for itself, whether stockers outperformed cow-calf this year, or whether that rented pasture is worth keeping. Your balance sheet updates automatically and with ag-specific inventory management. You always know exactly what feed, inputs, and livestock you have on hand and what they're costing you. Tag receipts from the feed store, reconcile from the tractor, and eliminate the year-end scramble. Ranchers save up to 90% of bookkeeping time and finally get numbers they can trust for family meetings, lenders, and major expansion decisions. Ambrook is built for ranching complexity, not just generic small business accounting. Try it free for a month at ambrook.com/wealthycowboy. That's AMBROOK.com/wealthycowboy.
It's about going back to value. Like, what do you get out of your $100, or what are you going to, the brand? The brand means a lot, And so, like, if I have a question or if I'm disgusted, you need to, be able to talk to them, And so, we've always have that phone, and we have a phone tree, and my wife is the first one on the call, deal, and but every year, people's got to talk to Gail. Like, I might answer it when it goes down the tree to me, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to call back to talk to Gail." But Gail, she, instead of saying, like, "Hey, what's your team? Thanks for playing. Next caller," she's like, "Well, Crockett, what about that old bay horse that had that right front that swelled up last year? How's he doing?" And then they just, everybody loves Gail and everybody tolerates me, and so, and then when they want to do away with the phones, because we have some players that played with us a long time. We have, I think his name's Conrad Sutton. He's from up there in Kansas, and he fills out the form still, and it's still kind of shaky, right? But we can understand, send a check, but he'll call Gail, and make sure we got it, in the mailbox. But I'm like, you're not telling him he can't play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's been playing for the last, 15, 16, 20 years, And we have a lot of players like that. And a lot of players, it's all online, or they could, fill it out and send it. But they're like, nope, Gail takes my entry every year. I'm going to call Gail and give her my team, But no, it's still kind of, like it's a good old boy club, and we're going to do right for you, because like, with rodeo, it just anything happens,
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if the customer's always happy, you got a good business.
Yeah. I always ask this trick question: if you could bull success down to one skill, if somebody could develop one skill, one trait to work on and perfect to be successful, what would you say that skill would be?
Tenacity. Like, dig in. Like, there's going to be lots of no's. There's going to be lots of losses, losses, and then, you just need to, develop the mindset. It's a win or learn, like, you do it until you get it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
There's no quitting. That was, my dad, he's a hard worker, and I always want to be like my dad, but like, he instilled in me, like, there's not you don't quit. We don't quit, and like, if you're bored, it's because you're not doing anything. Like, I don't know how many times it's like I stayed in bed a little bit longer, and he had that yellow hot shot on me, like, we work, like, we're here to work, and there's nothing you can't do if you don't put your mind to it.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I hear kids now say that they're bored or something. I'm like, man, when I was a kid, that meant you're fixing to go pick up rocks or something like that.
Exactly.
You didn't want to say that.
You could not be bored around that little farm.
What about advice? Like, just, I always like to think back to myself. If I could tell myself something, when you're coming out of college or coming out of high school, what would you tell somebody? Some advice?
My big, you won't get to where you want to go without risk. So don't be scared. Like, you've got to risk trying. You got to risk being an idiot. You got to risk people talking about you because you're doing something that they don't really think is cool, or they're not doing, but you got to risk it. Like, if you risk, you don't have reward. So anytime you're like doubting yourself or something like that, like, what's the worst thing going to happen if I don't do it? I got to do it. I just say, you just got to turn a blind eye and just do it anyway,
Yeah, I think, and you when you're looking at it, like, you really overvalue the risk. Like, I heard what really changed my mindset was, if you do this, are you going to die? I mean, I'm not going to go jump out of a plane or something, but if walk up and talk to a girl, or walk up and ask for a sale, or walk up and shake a guy's hand, or, whatever, if they reject you, cuss you out, slap you, whatever it is, like, you're still not any worse off than you were.
Yeah. And like anymore, like, everyone thinks that, the focus is on you and everybody's thinking about you. Nobody cares. And everybody has a short-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it does not matter. And like, in next week or in 2 days, they're going to be talking about something else. So go ahead and make a fool out of yourself, like, who cares? Like, nobody's going to remember it.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard it. I've said it several times, but a really good, I saw it on Facebook or something, but it said, in your 20s, you're worried about what other people think. In your 30s, you don't care what people think. And then in your 40s, you realize that nobody was thinking about you anyway.
That's great. I love that. That's great. That's exactly the point.
Yeah. I'm not in my 40s yet, but I'm at the point where I don't care what people think. So
yeah.
What about resources? Are you a reader, podcast listener?
Wow. I just been like crazy with Grok. So, like, I've been fortunate since June. I've been working with some of the leaders in AI that, with Teton Ridge and TWG Group, but we've been doing a lot of work with rodeo and how to elevate it and bring interesting talking points, and so AI fascinates me, and really start diving in. So, like, most, like, I'm an X junkie. Like, I'm an Elon fan, I'm X junkie, but I'm on X all the time. But like, X tailors the narrative to where you like to follow. So I'll have a lot of investment on their crypto, on their development, AI as a service. It's almost called AS, but it's AIAS. But yeah, just, like, anymore, there's so much information out there. You don't have enough time to consume it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's really cool about, like, in the Cybertruck, they got Grok in there, and you can just ask it, like, tell me the last developments this week to come out and what companies are doing it. Like, I'm Optimus robot. I'll be the first one to order it, And like, I even ordered one a month ago. It's called Neo. It's 1X. I think X1 is the company, and it's a robot. But it's a $200 deposit. I'm like, yep, I'm going to get that. But then there's 3, leading robots that's going to come out. Probably has a lead right now. Next one, it's called Neo, and then Figure AI. They're coming out one with called Figure 03, and then Optimus. But Optimus is going to kill it. That's Elon's. Like, Tesla's not a car company; it's a robotic company. And with the AI, the XAI that he does, integrating into all his products. With like the Cybertruck. Did you touch the wheel today? It's crazy. And then, that's just the future. That's just, And like with AI, there's a lot of scary things about that, but I really think AI is going to make our lives a lot easier, to where I think it's going to raise the level of living to where everybody, you're not worried about much money, because like, just look at the Optimus robot. If he can do a complex brain surgery, well, how many brain surgeons do we have in this world that can do that? And if you can teach a robotic program to do it better than a human, that healthcare could be available to everybody in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And like with the Neuralink being able to fix blindness and paralysis, But I'm really excited. A lot of people's freaked out. Like, well, take for Chancey Williams. I was talking to him the other day, and he's like, "Man, this AI music's scary because it creates it to where people really jive with it and they crave it." And I said, "Man, I think Cowboys are positioned to be better than ever." Because like when everybody starts saying all this fake stuff, it's not really fake. It's fake to me, but it's AI. It's computer generated.
Mm-hmm.
To where people's going to gravitate back to what's real.
Yeah.
You don't get any more real than a cowboy, And like I said, Chancey, I said, you're the perfect illustration of being authentic, and being real. Like this hits, it's gonna shoot you up even farther. They're not gonna make another Chancey Williams.
It's definitely, I think there's going to be a period, you're talking about the same thing Elon was saying on Rogan the other day of like, everybody's going to be successful, basically like a universal high income. Everybody's living a good life. But I think there's probably going to be a gap. It's already starting to get there. I heard a guy explain it, and I truly believe this also is like right now, if you want to be successful, you either need to be, going hard on AI, learning it, how to implement it in your business, the tools you can use, how to use it to better your life, or building a personal brand, or both, because we see the pendulum swing, way far this way and way far back. And like you said, it's going to get back to, AI is going to automate a bunch of stuff, but then it's going to go back to where people don't want to deal with that. They're going to say, I'll pay extra to talk to you on the phone. When I want to enter Pro Fantasy, I want to call and talk to somebody, a real person in America that speaks good English.
That's real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Western industry and Cowboys, we're going to be more elevated in the future than we are now. Because if you look, like the most successful marketing campaign in history was Leo Burnett, 1954 advertising campaign of Marlboro. That was a women's cigarette back then before they come with the Marlboro Man. But if you look, and then I think this also carries forward to where, like there was a resurgence of cowboys being cool during Urban Cowboy. And then now the Yellowstone effect and a lot of the bigger sporting events, and like it's cool to be cowboy right now. And people are like, well, when is this wave going to be over, And I don't think it's ever going to be over, because like now in this time, there's so much attention and social stress and social media, to where Leo Burnett's image of the Marlboro Man worked because cowboys are honest, rugged, good looking, loyal, and something to look up to. And now, as crazy as this life gets, that image is what people's going to hold on to. And as crazy as AI is going to get, they're going to love the American cowboy. Mm-hmm. We're going to be real. So I think we're just getting started.
Yeah.
And we're not scared of any computers.
Yeah. Yeah, I use it all the time. I've been using it. I use it as like for dumb stuff like Google, but also I use it like a mastermind. I try to tell people that, like, I shoot ideas at it. Like, how can I increase my revenue? I have this idea. How can I tweak it? And and it spits stuff at you, and then you can say, I don't know if that'll work. What about this? Or, tell me some reasons why this idea won't work or will. I mean, sit there and have a conversation with it, not just one prompt, but use it to really deep dive, and you can really come up with a business or perfect a business plan or launch new products or a bunch of
nuts.
things.
What platform do you use?
I just use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I heard a guy, a day trader guy the other day. He was talking about it. He's big on AI. What's his name? He was on Iced Coffee Hour the other day. Chris Camillo or something like that. Anyways, he was saying he uses ChatGPT, but he's like, it's really just because that's how I started. That's how I am, because that's the first one I started with, and that's what I'm familiar. That's why I'm on Facebook too, because Facebook's my favorite platform. That's what I started social media with.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
Real quick, if you're a listener of this show and you're serious about leveling up your income, your mindset, and your life in 2026, you need to join the Wealthy Cowboy VIP community. It's where the real action happens. You'll get exclusive discounts from our sponsors, VIP merch deals, early access to episodes, private Q&As, and I even pull questions from the group to ask our guests on the show. It's a crew of driven Western people pushing each other to grow. The link is in the description. Go join now and see what's happening inside.
You know, like I know a little more history with, Sam Altman and the way it started, because Elon started it with him, and didn't really like the way the direction was going. So, and then like Elon stepped back and just got out of AI, but he's so brilliant that he's already that XAI is already more advanced than ChatGPT. But the problem is I have with, anyone except Elon. Elon doesn't want your information. But those, everybody else is building data, building a profile, building a spending habit, building your, to where they're going to try to, retarget you in the future, and, but like the way X works, it's truth seeking, and it doesn't save. It does have, it'll save your chats to become more familiar with you. And then also, you can give it a business idea, and then next week, and you can say well, what about this? Try this model at 10%, and it'll remember that,
Yeah.
And so you want it to have memory, but you don't want it to have the information on you to retarget you and just drive you nuts.
That's what I like about it, because now I've been in it so much that now it's with your Wealthy Cowboy brand, and you doing this and doing that, and your followers are these, they know so much, so they can break down the best strategy.
Yeah,
and I see it. The next thing is marketing on there, and it's you can be that way now, because you can be like, what's the best, water that you can buy out there, and it'll be like, here it is, and then you can click on the link, and then you can't. It's going to take you to the Amazon or wherever, but you're probably going to eventually be able to buy it right there, and no telling where it's going to go.
Yeah, and I think with AI moving, it's going to be probably 5-6 years. We won't have phones anymore. Yeah, maybe a little bit longer than that, but there'll be more optical, and also it'll be tied into all our digital displays around us.
Mm-hmm.
If we can just walk through Vegas and it's all customized for us. It's crazy. I'm here for it. Hopefully, we're going to be here for the end anyway.
Your favorite restaurant? We always wrap up with that.
Wow. There used to be one in Los Angeles called Carmen's. They changed hands, and the Mexican restaurant had all you can eat carnitas. And my good buddy that I grew up with and lives up there in Los Angeles now just bought it 2 weeks ago because they were going downhill. So I can't wait for a trip to Colorado and get to eat Carmen's again. Yep. But I'm a Mexican food junkie. I can eat it every day.
Yeah.
My mom's a heck of it. Southeast Colorado, so we had all the workers down there, in all the fields. And we, some of the best Mexican food in the world right there in Southeast Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only thing that sucks is it's hard for me to go in there. I can eat really clean until we go eat Mexican food, and eat some chips.
Don't even. Yeah,
I don't have to eat tortillas with my meal, but with chips, especially with queso, I don't know. It's very hard to pass up.
Yeah, that's just a splurge meal.
Yeah. So tell us how people can find you, Pro Fantasy Rodeo Vegas. How can everybody check you out?
Yeah, profantasyrodeo.com, rodeovegas.com. Rodeo Vegas is, one other thing out there at the national finals, you go to Cowboy Christmas, because Pro Fantasy Rodeo is a presenting sponsor of Cowboy Christmas at the convention center, the gift show. And in our title sponsorship, we was able to get a 10x20 activation in the West lobby before you go in the Cowboy Christmas. I was like, man, I don't really want to backdrop and a cardboard table with some flyers. I'm going to think next level, you know? And so I come up with this idea that we're actually having almost an exact copy made of the Price is Right wheel. So then I have we've been working on the platform, and where you walk up and QR code, then it tells you when to spin. And so you spin, and we're going to have the numbers on the wheel to look just like the Price is Right wheel. Then we're going to have a prize board to where 100 equals a free fantasy team. 85 might get you an entry to get a Rodeo Vegas jacket. 65 is going to get you a trip to go to the American or an entry into the American. So when you're out there in Vegas, make sure you go to the West Lobby at the Cowboy Christmas and spin our wheel. Win something.
Yeah. And then you personally, you don't have much of, you're not on social
just hit
media.
me up on Facebook and leave a message. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I check that not too often. I mean, I'll do better.
More of an X guy.
Yeah, I don't post much on X because I'm kind of in the crypto community, you know, on there. And so I don't say much. I just kind of consume on there. I don't post a whole lot unless it's on my Facebook and I know my buddies are listening. But Snapchat, follow me at Snapchat. I do a lot of Snapchat. We got a bunch of cowboys on there we have fun with. I think it's Casey Jones Rodeo.
Okay. Yeah. Snapchat can be pretty funny. You post a lot of stuff on there that you wouldn't see anywhere else usually.
Yeah, there's one group that's all day working cowboys, and there's some wrecks on there. It's good.
Yeah, so y'all go check them out. Check out Pro Fantasy Rodeo, Rodeo Vegas. If you're out there, if you're not, you can still play. You can still be involved. Check them out, and we'll see y'all next time. As a business owner, you know Google reviews can make or break you. The problem? Happy customers don't always speak up, and the few bad ones can drag you down fast. That's why we built Review Wizard, a free tool that makes getting 5-star reviews simple. Just post a QR code in your business, customers can scan it, and in seconds they leave you a review. But that's just the start. Review Wizard helps you respond to customers automatically, share reviews straight to social media, and even add them to your website to build instant trust. Every new review boosts your Google SEO ranking, making it easier for new customers to find you online. And if you want to take it to the next level, our AI upgrade can filter out the bad reviews before they hit your page and engage with your customers so you don't lose them. That means more good reviews, less damage control, and stronger relationships. The best part, the base version is completely free. No catch. Just click the link below and start turning your happy customers into your best marketing team today.